स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions who came to establish universal religion, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. In the last month Sunday class, I just started Karma Yoga, and today also I am continuing the same topic. Before actually teaching Karma Yoga to Arjuna, Lord Krishna extols the Chitadihi state. That is, he tells the characteristics of man of wisdom. So when Arjuna hears Krishna extolling the Sthiti state, he has a genuine doubt. He asks a question in the beginning of the 3rd chapter, which indicates that he had not understood the purport of Krishna's preceding advice. He could not understand the idea Krishna wanted to convey. So he asks, Jayasi chet karmanaste mata buddhir janardana tatking karmani ghore mam niyojyasi keshava. O Krishna, if your opinion is that buddhi is better than karma, then why are you engaging me to a karma that is so terrible? Arjuna's doubt is reasonable and intelligent. We will briefly recapitulate what Krishna had said in the 2nd chapter. First, Lord Krishna tacitly tells Arjuna to fight. Klaibhyam masvagama partha naitatva yupapadyade Shudram Hriyadav Balyam Tekvottishta Parantapa. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, don't be an imbecile. This does not behove you. Throw away this degrading weakness and get up. But Arjuna was depressed and he could not fight. He asked Krishna, what am I to do? I am afflicted with the world. Tell me the method by which I can outlive this dukkha right now. Lord Krishna goes on giving him the Sankhya Tattva. You are not the body or mind. You are the infinite soul that never dies and is never born. The moment you realize it, you will have no more sukha or dukkha, pleasure or pain. People who can perceive the reality know that the unreal doesn't ever exist and the reality never ceases to exist. Anything that has the nature of coming and going is unreal. Sukha and dukkha, pleasure and pain, are unreal because they come and go. So why do you worry about them? Instead of fixing yourself to the changing world, Hold on to the non-changing reality, the Atman. Make the very world which is giving you so much misery now your teacher, helping you to transcend it. After giving Arjuna this Sankhya Tattva, Lord Krishna says in the Gita, Esha te bihita sankhye buddhir yoge tyumam shrunu buddhya yukto ya partha karma bandham prahasyate. I have hereunto told you the wisdom pertaining to Sankhya or Jnana Yoga. I am now going to tell you how this Sankhya Buddhi is to be brought to the practical field and made to permeate your actions, turning your ordinary karma into Karma Yoga. If you enjoin yourself to that Buddhi, you can cut across the bondage of karma, and the karma you perform will not bind you. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phale turbhurmate sangostva karmani. Arjun, your competency is only for karma, not for jnana nishtha. Do not leave karma and run away. Do not hanker after the result of your actions, and let not the desire for the fruit of action be the propelling force behind your actions. And also be not inactive. Again Lord Krishna says, Durena hyavarang karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanamanvichya kripanaha palahetavaha. Arjun, karma is much inferior to buddhi, so take refuge in buddhi. Those who do karma with desire for the fruit are wretched. Naturally, Arjuna is confused. So he asks, O Krishna, if you think buddhi is much superior to karma, why are you asking me to do this terrible karma of fighting the war? And further, Vyamishreneva vakyena buddhim mohayasi vame tadekam vadanishchitya yena shayoham apnayam. It seems as though you are confusing me by seemingly contradictory expressions. Your expressions are mixed and involved. So tell me in a determined way the one thing by which I can attain Shreyas. Conclusively tell me the one thing that I should do. When Krishna uses the terms buddhi, yoga, jnana, karma, etc., he uses them in a certain context and meaning. It has got specific meaning in that context. And Arjuna had understood them wrongly. He had not understood the correct purport of what Krishna said. After giving the Sankhya Tattva, why did Krishna say, I am now going to tell you how you can make this Tattva saturate your actions and transform them into Karma Yoga? Because Krishna knew that Arjuna was not ripe enough for Sankhya Yoga. Who is fit for Sankhya Yoga? A man who, either on hearing Vedantic lectures or reading books on Vedanta, suddenly leaves home off and betakes himself away from the worldly life. He has no clinging to attachment, no clinging or attachment to the world, no duty consciousness. He has realized that the transcendent world cannot give him lasting ananda, and his only aim is mukti. He is rid of raga and dvesha. As Krishna says, Naiva tasya kritenartho na kriteneha kaschana nachasya sarvabhuteshu kaschidartha vyapashrayaha. The Sankhyas have nothing to be attained by doing work, and they have nothing to avoid by abstaining from work. In short, the world has nothing to offer them. Sankhya Yoga is only for such people. But Arjuna has not reached that state. He is full of raga and dvesha, likes and dislikes. His very weakness and apparent vairagya are born of feeling of dvesha at having to kill Bhishma and Drona. He is not rid of attachment. So Krishna says, I will tell you how to permeate your actions with Sankhya Tattva and transform the very karma you do into karma yoga. For your competency now is only for doing action and not for the inaction of the Sankhya yogis. You are not rid of raga and dvesha, so reinforcing your buddhi with Sankhya Tattva, you should work on in the world without attachment. If you do so, the actions will not bind you. So, then Lord Krishna says, Durena hyavarang karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvishya kripanaha palahedava. Action done with attachment and desire for fruit is much inferior to action done by enjoining yourself to Sankhya Tattva. The karma that is ordinarily done by you with raga and dvesha is much inferior to the actions that you will do if you make them saturated with the understanding of Sankhya Tattva. When you understand Sankhya Tattva, you will cultivate samabhava, outlive sukha and dukkha, and rid yourself of raga and dvesha. When you act thus, your actions will become karma yoga. If you continue to act with raga and dvesha, you will be wretched. Buddhi yoga means karma turned into karma yoga with the help of Sankhya buddhi, in effect by cultivating samabuddhi. So, what Krishna meant and what Arjuna understood by that shloka were widely different. Hence Arjuna's confusion. Understanding Arjuna's confusion, Krishna begins to explain this tattva right from the beginning. Lokesmin vividhanishta pura prokta mayanaga jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. In this world, right from the beginning, from antiquity, there has been one nishtha known by two different names. The nishtha for Sankhya's is known as Jnana Yoga, and that for Karma Yogis as Karma Yoga. Pura Prokta also means, I told you previously in second chapter. So many people interpret Vividha Nishtha as two Nishthas. It is not so. If it had been two, Krishna would have used the dual number Vividhe Nishthe, but he has not done so. It ought to be interpreted as Eka Eva Nishtha Tathapi Vividaha. That is only one Nishtha known by two names, apparently different. These two differ only in degrees and not in essence or content. The popular concept is that in Bhagavad Gita there are three yogas prescribed: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga. It is not so. If you study deeply, it is only one yoga known by different names to suit individual tendencies. Ultimately there is only one yoga. God is there, I am here. God and I must become one. This is all the yoga. Becoming one with God, union with God. Our work converted into a means of attaining God is called Karma Yoga. Our love and emotion turned towards attaining God as Bhakti Yoga. And our wisdom, intellect used as a means to reach God as Jnana Yoga. Ultimately, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga and Jnana Yoga are one and one only. If we take them as separate, then we have to lengthen the list, as there are not only these three but altogether 18 yogas in Bhagavad Gita. In the first chapter there is the yoga of grief, Vishada Yoga. What does it mean? A man is afflicted with sorrow. Say his child dies. Ordinarily, what do men do? They are grief-stricken for some time. As time passes, the grief becomes less and less acute, and in course of time, they are their old selves. The shock has not taught them any lesson. On the other hand, There may be another man who has to face a similar tragedy but faces it differently. He starts thinking, what is this? I thought my son will outlive me and that I can have sukha from him till my death. I took his living for granted and built my plans around him. Yet he is dead now. What I thought to be permanent has turned out to be transient. If I pin my faith on such transient objects, I am doomed to disappointment. I must shift my vision to something higher, something which will not betray me. By doing such vichara, he turns Godward. He has turned his vishada, grief, into vishada yoga, a method to attain God realization. So also, anything and everything can be turned into yoga. Anything and everything can set you thinking and turn you Godward. It depends upon one's spiritual development. When you are sufficiently ripe or mature and sincere, that is the time for somebody to come and direct you, show you the way to moksha. He cannot but come. Be absolutely sure about that. So according to Lord Krishna, there is only one yoga having different names. The Sankhya yogis approach the infinite reality through Jnana yoga, and the Karma yogis through Karma yoga. The essence in both is the same, the difference being only in degrees. The Sankhya yogi has no attachment and clinging, so he leaves society and starts meditating on the Supreme. Whereas the Karmi, who is engaged in action, is not rid of attachment and raga and dvesha. So he has to convert his actions into karma yoga and cultivate equanimity within himself. He has to outlive raga dvesha. As he cultivates more and more samabhava, he becomes happier and happier. The secret of true happiness lies in samabhava, or absence of raga dvesha. Say for example, we go to Rishikesh, Badrinath in Himalayas, come back and say, oh, it was wonderful, I was so happy and peaceful there. What was the real reason? You were in the midst of wonderful expanses of nature. There was not so much of activity, and you were practically free from raga and dvesha, as there was not much scope for these twin forces to sprout. It was the equanimity of your mind caused by the limited absence of raga dvesha which gave you happiness. So, you are happy in samabhava and not in actually the place Badrinath. You came back and are once again experiencing raga dvesha of everyday life. Not having samabhava now, you are unhappy. So, the happiness lies not in the place Badrinath or Keranath, but in yourself. But our mental attitude governs our lives. Let us take another example. Soldiers go to the front. Their primary duty is to kill, and nobody considers them as murderers. Why? Because their attitude is, or must be, I am just an instrument in the hands of a greater power. I am not engaging in this because of any personal likes or dislikes, but because it is my duty to serve my motherland. Whether I am killed or they are killed, I must be unattached. I have nothing to gain. But let a soldier return from the war front, and suppose he kills somebody. He is immediately taken into custody, tried, and most probably given capital punishment. What is the difference? Only his attitude. In the war front, he was killing dozens of persons but was doing it as a karma yogi. Here, he kills only one person, yet he does it through raga dvesha because of personal dislikes or hatred. After hearing all these, each one of you must decide for yourself whether you are a karma yogi or a sankhya yogi. Most of you would be having the attachment. My job, my duty, my family, etc. So you do karma yoga. Work on as before, but without attachment. You must have the attitude, I am not the doer, I am not the enjoyer. You can eat, drink, hear, touch, fondle your child, use fragrant soap and powder, but beneath it all there must be detachment. You must be able to feel the same detachment whether you are doing something or enjoying something, or another person is doing or enjoying. You must try to be rid of kartrutva bhoktrutva bhava, the notions that you are the doer, you are the enjoyer. It is my body and mind which are working, not I. I am the unchanging perceiver within, must be your attitude. Having this attitude of witness, fix your sight on the infinite reality seated within yourself and shift your personality from the psycho-physical center to the spiritual center. Stand as a witness to all activities. Naiva kinchit karomiti. I am not doing anything. The indriyas are doing their jobs. I am unconnected. This should be your inner attitude. This karma yoga is only jnana yoga watered down. Evolve gradually. Think it over, and if you are not fit for Sankhya yoga, then decide right now that you will be a karma yogi. Vedanta requires paurusha, courage and determination. Have paurusha to attain moksha. Nakarmana manarambha naishkarmyam purushošnute nacha sanyasana deva siddhim samadhigacchati. Paurusha really means a human being alive with the infinite spirit within. It doesn't refer only to men, excluding women. O Arjun, by refusing to start activity, by refusing to engage in action, human beings do not attain. By mere sannyas, leaving away society and going to jungles, that is by external sannyas, a man doesn't get siddhi. By siddhi is meant jnana siddhi or jnana prapatti, attainment of jnana. So next he explains what is naishkarmya. Of so many people hearing these discourses, there may perchance be one man who will come to the firm decision, I have nothing to gain from this world. Free from attachment, sense of duty and obligations, he will have nothing to gain by acting in the world, nor will he have anything to lose by not acting in the world. He will have more peace of mind only when he betakes himself away from all activities. Naishkarmya applies only to such people. They abstain from activities not because of laziness or raga and dvesha, but because they have nothing to gain from activities. They will be content only with sitting and meditating. The actionlessness of such people is called naishkarmya. So Krishna says, don't think, Arjun, that by merely refusing to act you are attaining naishkarmya, because your refusal comes out of raga dvesha. Only the actionlessness of people in whom the peace of mind is concomitant with refusal to act is called naishkarmya. Their naishkarmya is only the outward manifestation of an essential state of consciousness behind it. I am verily Brahman, always pure, perfect and blissful. So their innate tendency to act must have snapped. They have no more Shraddha in action. In you, Lord Krishna says to Arjuna, the clinging has not gone. An hour ago you came here ready to kill all the Kauravas, meeting with insurmountable obstacles in the forms of Bhishma and Drona. You have got a dvesha for fighting with them. Can you, who is not rid of raga dvesha, attain naishkarmya? Do that very act for which you have a dvesha now, as a karma yogi, and get over your raga and dvesha and bhaya, fear. Naishkarmya is the effect of doing karma as a karma yogi. And you say you prefer the life of a sannyasin, begging alms to killing Bhishma and Drona. Do you know what sannyasi is? True sannyasa is renouncing your sankalpas, desires, thoughts, etc., and not mere physical possessions. Have you got over your sharirabhimana, attachment to the body consciousness and intellect consciousness? A sannyasi ought not to have any clinging to name, popularity and fame. He must be the humblest being in the world. Not even that, he must be a non-entity. Real sannyasa is in the mind. With your mind full of raga-dvesh, you cannot attain anything by merely taking an external sannyasa. If you go to the forest, even there you will be thinking of the things that you have left behind. You will be thinking of Yudhishthir and others and worrying about them. You will be wondering, you will be surprising what turn that the war has taken. You will not gain anything by assuming such sannyasa. Shankaracharya says in the beginning of this Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, Gita Shastra contains the quintessence of all the essences that are contained in the Vedas. To understand the tattva contained in it is difficult but not impossible. Many Pandits, in trying to go into the mere meanings of words, vachyartha, have lost the essence, tattvartha. Before they come to the end of the Gita, they contradict their own interpretation of the former chapters. So I am undertaking to interpret the Gita in a discriminative way, to make it understood by people who have viveka, discriminative intellect. So Shankaracharya places great importance on viveka. The context of Shankara's introduction to the Gita will be clear from the meaning of the next shloka. Nahi kaschit kshanamapi jatu tishthatya karma krit karyate hyavashak karma sarvaha prakriti gunaihi. There is not a single human being in the world who can remain without karma even for a second. For everyone is made to act by the qualities born of one's nature. Now what is karma? That is very important for us to understand. Many Pandits have interpreted karma as Vedic karma, ritualistic action. The shloka would then mean you cannot remain even for a short while without performing rituals. It cannot be so. Karma here does not mean either working with karmendriya alone, like walking, eating, etc., or ritualistic actions. Vedanta does not distinguish between secular actions and ritualistic actions, for the content or the propelling force behind both of them is raga and dvesha. Here karma means any movement, vibration in the body or mind. You are all sitting and listening to me now, apparently inactive, but you are breathing. Your ears carry the sound to the brain. There is a corresponding thought in you, which is a movement in the consciousness within. These are all actions. Even thinking, according to the Gita, is an action. Krishna says, we cannot remain even for a fraction of a second without action. Kshana is even less than a second. It is the time taken for the breaking of a leaf or twig. That is the interval during which there is a sound of breaking. That is the interval during which there is a sound of breaking. Why is it you cannot remain inactive? For you are forced to act by the qualities born of your own nature, swabhava. Our actions are governed by our innate character. There are three gunas operating which determine our character. Everybody is under these three gunas, and they are sattva, rajas and tamas. What is tamaguna? Characteristics of people having a preponderance of tamagun are sloth, slumber and laziness. So we immediately categorize them as, oh, he's a tamasic. They get up late in the morning, go about their work with no enthusiasm. They are very slow to grasp anything. If at all they have interest in anything, it is in such time-killing activities as playing cards or gambling, etc. They are the lowest type of people. That is Tamogunis. Rajogunas, the essential feature of the Rajogun is activity. Those who think that their sukha depends upon the things that they can get through their activities are called Rajogunatmakaha. They fret and fume like rats caught in a trap. I must do this, I must do that, etc. They are caught up in activity to such an extent that they have no time to turn Godward. Even if you talk Vedanta to them, they may hear it, understand it, but still the Rajogun element is so strong in them that it would drag them back to activity. They require a good amount of sleep because of the exhaustion and moving about here and there. Finally, having no time to think of God, they come to the end of their lives. Me kritaha kalavrikena nitaha, caught as a lamb by the wolf. About Sattva-guna, whenever there is necessity to act physically, people of Sattva-guna will act. They can discern and discriminate what to do and what not to do. Being almost free of raga dvesh, they will have intellectual keenness. Because of this, they know what to do, when and how to do it. Anything they undertake will be a success. They will be entering into the minimum possible activity required for the maintenance of the body. The rest of the time they will devote to studying Vedanta and the highest sciences. Having a clear intellect, they will be efficient in their work and have enough spare time to meditate and do sadhana to attain mukti. They won't sleep much, for they do not waste their energy in useless activity. But even sattvic nature can bind you. To hear Vedanta is the sattvic desire. It is better than rajasic or tamasic desires. In fact, this sattvic desire will be like a thorn that removes the other thorns, the rajasic and tamasic desires. But sattvic nature also binds you. It binds you with a golden chain, whereas rajas and tamas bind you with copper and steel chains respectively. Anyway, they are all chains only. So you have to go even beyond Sattva-guna. That's the teaching. There is a story said by Sri Ramakrishna in the Gospel about these three gunas, how they are all robbers. Even Sattva-guna is also one of the robber. Under the spell of God's Maya, man forgets his true nature. He forgets that he is heir to the infinite glories of his Father. This divine Maya is made up of three gunas. And all three are robbers, for they rob man of all his treasures and make him forget his true nature. The three gunas are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Of these, Sattva alone points the way to God. But even Sattva cannot take man to God. Then Sri Ramakrishna tells a story. Once a rich man was passing through a forest, when three robbers surrounded him and robbed him of all his wealth. After snatching all his possessions from him, one of the robbers said, "What's the good of keeping the man alive? Kill him." Saying this, he was about to strike their victim with the sword, when the second robber interrupted and said, "There is no use in killing him. Let us bind him fast and leave him there. Then he won't be able to tell the police." Accordingly, the robbers tied him with a rope, left him and went away. After a while, the third robber returned to the rich man and said, "Oh, you are badly hurt, aren't you? Come, I am going to release you." The third robber set the man free and led him out of the forest. When they came near the highway, the robber said, "Follow this road and you will reach your homes easily." "But you must come with me too," said the man. "You have done so much for me. We shall be happy to see you at our home." Like that, the man requested the robber. The robber said, "No, it is not possible for me to go there. The police will arrest me." So saying, he left the rich man and after pointing out his way. Now the first robber who said, "What is the good of keeping the man alive? Kill him," is tamas. It destroys. The second robber is rajas, which binds a man to the world and entangles him in a variety of activities. Rajas makes him forget God. That's the meaning of bondage. You are in bondage because you forget God. Sattva alone shows the way to God. It produces virtues like compassion, righteousness and devotion. Again, sattva is like the last step of the stairs. Next to it is the roof. The Supreme Brahman is man's own abode. One cannot attain the knowledge of Brahman unless one transcends the three gunas. There are many scholars who are intellectually masters of Vedanta and the scriptures. Yet they are nowhere near mukti because they do not do real manana and nididhyasana. They do not engage in vichara. They are content with sattva guna and do not realize that they must transcend even sattva guna in order to reach the infinite reality. Through sattva, we have to know the real tattva, and for attaining the supreme, we must throw away even the sattva and directly proceed there. Lord Krishna says, we are bound absolutely by the three gunas. The capacity to think and be our original selves is almost clouded by the force of the three gunas. How to get over these gunas? Lord Krishna says, Daivikshesha gunamayi maumaya duratyaya mamevaye prapadyante maya metan tarantite. Those who take refuge in me, the infinite reality, alone can cross over this maya created by the gunas. Krishna in the next two shlokas of the third chapter points out the difference between the apparent actionlessness of a man who outwardly keeps quiet but gives full freedom to his desire-filled mind to wander about as it likes. And second, the real actionlessness of a man who, though outwardly working on in the world as any other man, has his senses and mind under firm control. So the shlokas are very important and should be carefully studied and understood. The first one, Karmendriyani samyamya yaste manasa smaran indriyarthan vimudhatma mithyacharasya uchyate. A person restraining his karmendriyas and allowing his gyanendriyas, organs of perception, to wander is called a hypocrite. Karmendriyas are the two legs, two hands, mouth and the organs of excretion. They are karmendriyas. All our activities can be only through our karmendriyas. The karmendriyas do not pull us out. It is the sense organs, the eyes, the ear, the nose, the skin and the tongue which pull us out. It is through the sense organs that we understand the world. Mind is having sukha and dukkha only through the sense organs. It is the sense organs which are to be controlled and not the karmendriyas. If you go to a cinema or a cremation ground, the pain to the legs is the same. It is only the mind that gets sukha and dukkha coming through the sense organs, which censored the cinema or the cremation. If restraining the karmendriyas, you think about the objects of the senses, you are a hypocrite. An example is given. A husband scolds his wife and the latter decides not to take food. The whole day she dwells upon the words which the husband uttered, and which pained her. Though apparently inactive, her mind is thinking, her eyes are seeing, and her ears and other sense organs are functioning. She, according to Krishna, is a hypocrite. There is a beautiful story given in Mahabharata illustrating this point. There was a Brahmin by name Gautam. So he went to jungles and started doing intense tapas. He had restrained his karmendriyas, but not his jnanendriyas. He had not taken care of his old parents. He had left them and had come to the jungles to do tapas. Repeating the mantras several times, in course of time, he had attained some sort of mental concentration and powers. At noon each day, he used to go to the nearby village and have his bhiksha. One day, when he was on his way to bhiksha, he sat on a stone by the wayside. A crane was sitting on the branch of the tree, just above his head. It passed excreta which fell on Gautama's head. Having a wrong sense of what is real purity, he thought he was polluted. He looked up with the intense anger at the crane. Now he had attained a measure of one-pointedness by his tapas. A mind which is focused will have some power. Such tapas, when misdirected, is useless. Yet you get some power, though it will not give you shanti. When Gautama looked up at the crane with anger, it was burnt into ashes. Seeing that, the man was praising himself for his power. Yet at the same time, there came in him a taint of pity. He thought, poor creature, he did not know what it was doing. Have I done the right thing? He then got up and started again for the village. The first house he came to was Anusuya's house. Anusuya was the wife of great Maharshi, Atri Maharshi. He stood in front of the house and said, Bhavati Bhikshan Dehi, please give me food. Just then, Anusuya was engaged in the household work. Her husband had entered the house just at that moment. He was tired and hungry and thirsty. What was Anusuya's duty now? Her first duty was to her husband and children. She was a great karma yogi. She saved water. She served water to her husband, gave him a seat and served him food. While he was taking food, the Gautama, who was standing at outside and watching, he was very angry. He was thinking, I am a great tapasvi and a brahmacharin standing here. This woman is not respecting me properly. Is her husband a greater rishi than me, that she serves him first? So he was thinking all these things in his mind. When suddenly Anasuya called out from within the house, Oh Gautam, don't think Anasuya is a crane. The moment Gautam heard it, he was wonderstruck. What is this? The crane was burnt by my curse a mile away. How this woman came to know about it? How could she ever understand what thoughts were within me and that I was going to curse her? What is this power in her that not even I have attained by my tapas? So he prostrated in front of Anasuya and said, Oh mother, please forgive me, I have done wrong. Ansuya said, "All right, my son, after serving my husband, I will come and talk to you." After her husband had taken his food, she came and served this Brahmin with food. Then the Brahmin said, "What's the wonderful power you have? You are just an ordinary housewife working in the kitchen and attending to your husband and children. How have you attained this wonderful power?" Ansuya replied, "O Gautam, you restrained the karmendriyas but not the jnanendriyas. The crane's excreta fell on you. The notion that you had been polluted went to your mind and you cursed it. Then you came here for food. Since you did not get food in time, you were angry and were about to curse me. The reason was you had no control over your hunger. What good can you attain by restraining of your karmendriyas without controlling the jnanendriyas? Besides, you did not do your duty to your parents. You left your parents and went to a forest to do tapas. So restrain your jnanendriyas and let the karmendriyas work on. Be a karma yogi. Do your duty to your parents. That's the way to proceed towards mukti. I have attained mukti in the kitchen, in my house, while doing my duty as karma yoga, as it is the indispensable step for purification. I have not read many scriptures and texts, nor have I had any Gurukula apprenticeship with a teacher. So if you want to learn more of Vedanta, go to Dharmavyadha. He is a butcher in Mithila Rajya, in Mithila state. He will teach you practical Vedanta more clearly. So like this, Ansuya directed that Brahmin to go to him. Are you not Gautam? Has not Ansuya sent you here? I am just now engaged in my work. Wait for some time. Then I shall close the shop and take you to my home. Gautam was greatly surprised at this. After some time, Dharmavyada closed his shop and took Gautam to his home. There he gave food to his aged parents first. Then he gave a seat to Gautam and fed him. Only then did he take a food himself. Later he gave out to Gautama a technique of karma yoga, citing how he himself, even though a butcher, had attained Jivan Mukti by adopting karma yoga as the indispensable first step. Gautama went back to his parents, looked after them properly, purifying himself through karma yoga. He perfected jnana and became a mukta later on. Thus, the restraining of jnanendriyas is the primary thing in religion. The present day religion has degraded into a form in which we restrain our karmendriyas and not the jnanendriyas. But can you control your passions and desires? If you had been seeing 4 movies per month, are you able to reduce it to 2, 1 or none? Are you able to extricate yourself from the bad habits to which you are accustomed? Religion starts here in eating, drinking, seeing movies, hearing music, etc. Have control over the indriyas. If you do so, the mind will not be disturbed. It will not be acted upon and tossed about by the panchendriyas. You can start meditating and reach God. On the other hand, the mind of one who has not had any indriyas controlled will be dragged out by his senses. He cannot attain God. Not only that, he cannot have a proper secular life even. Be a master of your indriyas and not their object slave. This is the science and technique of Vedanta. Now what should be the correct method? Lord Krishna says, Yastvindriyani manasa niyamya arabhate Arjuna karmendriyaihi karma yogam asakta savishishyate. Restraining your sense organs by the mind, act with the karmendriyas. When the sense organs attract the mind, control them then. There is a beautiful sloka in chapter 2 which describes how the sense organs act. Indriyanam hi charatam enmano anuvidhiyate tasasya harati pragyam vayurnavim uvambhasi. The mind, following the wandering sense organs, carries away or destroys the discrimination of a person, just as a strong breeze carries away a boat on water. The nature of the sense organs is such that they always go out, issue forth. Even if the mind goes after one sense organ, it is sufficiently strong to spoil the mind. Say some friends are gambling on a Sunday. You are slightly interested and you just go and watch. Your friends ask you to join, but you refuse. After some persuasion, you join them and lose some money you had with you. Your friends will tell you that you will recover that and something more also if you continue to play. As you are keen on recovering the lost money, you are easily persuaded and you again lose another amount of money. Then you come away with added regret. Adi Shankaracharya, it is said, was walking through the road one day when he saw a kite flying with a piece of bone chased by a number of crows. The kite was dodging the crows from tree to tree, but at last it got exhausted and dropped the bone. The moment it dropped the bone, the crows stopped chasing it and went after the bone. Shankaracharya, seeing all this, prostrated before the kite and said, "You are my Guru, for you have taught me a lesson. As long as I have even a loin cloth, there will be somebody trying to snatch it away. If I have a coin, there will be many parasites trying to get it. You have taught me that the way to peace is sarvasankalpatyaga, renouncing all thoughts, and sarvavastu parityaga, renouncing all worldly possessions. I have also to throw away all desires of the world if I am to attain mukti." Vedantins have been keen observers of the world and have been learning from it. When the kite was after its pellet, the crows were after the kite in hot pursuit. When it dropped the bone and its desire to along with it, the crows parted. In Vivekananda, Shankaracharya gives a beautiful sloka, how going after even one sense organ brings about bondage and even death. It is said in the Vivekananda, "Shabdadibhi panchabhireva pancha panchatvamapuhu swagunena baddhaha kuranga matanga patanga meena bringa naraha panchabhiranjita kim." Shankaracharya says, a musk deer, kuranga, is caught by a hunter playing on a special bamboo flute. Hearing the melody, the deer forgets itself and remains absorbed in it. The music is heard by the ears, and this brings about its doom, for the deer is then shot or caught alive. Then comes matanga. Matanga means elephant. If a wild elephant is to be caught, usually a pit is dug and it is covered by bamboos and branches of trees. Very near the pit, a female elephant is tied. The elephant gets great pleasure by touching the female elephant. While seeking the pleasure of touch, it falls into the pit and is caught. Here, the sense organ which brings about the capture of the elephant is the skin. Then patanga, small insects, always fly around a brilliant light. They mistake the light for food, and because of the heat emanating from the light, they die. Here, they are brought to their doom by the sense organ eye. Meena means fish. It gets caught and without thinking, it bites the worm dangling from the angle. It goes after the tongue to catch its prey and is caught in turn. Bringa, black beetles, go from flower to flower. They go after their nose to the flowers emanating fragrance, as there must be honey in them. But some of the flowers give out such a wonderful fragrance that they become unconscious while drinking the nectar and so fall down and die. All of these species, each going after one sense organ, court their own death or bondage. What to say of the fate of man, in whom all the 5 sense organs are fully developed, and who goes after all of them? So we have therefore to restrain all the sense organs. Restraining of the sense organs is religion in practice. Instead, our controlling capacity is a trait to be developed. Absolute stoppage, nigraha, of any sense pleasure is not advised, but only niyama, a control. Nobody says do not take food, but do not be after food. In short, adopt a golden mean. In chapter 6, Lord Krishna says, Yuktahar viharasya, yukta cheshtasya karmasu, yukta swapnamabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkaha. Follow the golden middle path in everything. Be moderate in eating, drinking, sleeping, keeping awake, and in enjoying the pleasures of the senses. Be moderate. You need not deny yourself the pleasures of the senses completely, but anything in excess is harmful, not only for spiritual advancement, but even for success in material life. A life of moderation is a real fruitful life. So, when Swami Vivekananda was in Alwar, Rajasthan, lots of people would come and hear Swami Vivekananda's teachings. One very old man was also coming, and he was very anxious to put questions to Swami Vivekananda, but Vivekananda would not give any attention to him. On the other hand, Swamiji rebuked him and sent him away. Others who were there asked Swami Vivekananda as to the reason why he did such a thing. Swami Vivekananda replied, well, that old man, he was all along after sense pleasures. Now, what has he got to forsake to attain mukti? He must have something to forsake. I gave him a shock treatment so that he might start thinking, and if not in this birth, he may improve it at least in his next birth. The idea is, control now when you have something to control. Give up the clinging to the pleasures of the senses now when you have it, because you cannot give it up later when you have lost the capacity for enjoying it. So, we have to adopt a technique in doing our actions. Karma Yoga is exactly, that is what is meant. Simply doing karma will not lead you towards God. So attitude must be properly fixed up. With what attitude you are performing your actions, whatever actions they may be, they all can be directed towards God, provided your attitude is really focused on God. So, let us try to understand Karma Yoga properly and do all our actions sincerely with a dedicated spirit, and the results will come by themselves without our hankering after them. So purification of the mind is most important. In fact, that is the purpose of all our spiritual sadhanas. Once the mind gets purified, everything becomes clear. transparent, and you will know what you are. So when you come face to face towards reality, then you will attain liberation. So let us try to follow what technique Lord Krishna has given, and I will continue this topic coming Sunday next month also. Thank you very much. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. May the Divine Spirit protect us, guide us, give us strength and right understanding. May we not hate one another. May love and harmony be with us all. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. May the Divine Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we work in harmony with great vigor. May our study be illuminating and fruitful. May we not hate each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.